Don't blink and watch till the end, because the names you're about to hear aren't just headlines from the past. They're the voices that built the soundtrack of the 80s, and each one left a lesson we still feel. Big hair, bigger guitars, stadium choruses that shook the summer air then. Suddenly, silence. Stay with me, because every story is short, clear, and human. And by the last name, you'll feel why these legends still matter. John Lennon. The world changed in a heartbeat on a cold New York night in 1980. After a studio session full of plans and music, he returned to the Dakota and was shot outside his home. He was only 40. Lennon's 80s legacy is strange to say, because he barely saw the decade, but his voice was everywhere on radios, in protests, in the quiet corners where people wrote their first songs. When he left, it felt like a light went out in every city at one stop. Bon Scott, AC/DC's Wow. Weary frontman poured fire in the highway to hell and made bar band blues feel like thunder from the sky. In 1980, after a heavy night of drinking, he never woke up. He was 33. The band found a way to keep going, but his bite, his laugh, and that rough edge that made every chorus feel dangerous were gone. If you ever sang his lines with a smile that hurt your face, you know why he belongs on this list. Ian Curtis, Joy Division's young singer, had a voice that sounded older than time, and lyrics that cut straight to the bone. In 1980, at 23, he died by suicide just as the band was about to tour America. The music he left, dark, spare, and true, set the tone for 1,000 post-punk bands and for a whole idea of what it means to sing from the inside. When Love Will Tear Us Apart plays, you hear a soul trying to hold together. Randy Rhoads with Ozzy Osbourne. He took metal guitar into a new world. Classical runs, clean tone, and burning speed that still turns heads. In 1982, he died in a small plane crash in Florida at just 25. He left behind Crazy Train, Mr. Crowley, and a blueprint for every young shredder who ever stood in front of a mirror and dreamed. The notes he didn't get to play live in the fingers of anyone who learned his solos. Ricky Wilson. The B-52s had color, humor, and a beat that made even shy people dance. Ricky's bright, chiming line simple and sharp were the spine of that sound. He died in 1985 at 32 from an AIDS-related illness, and the band's world changed. Years later, they turned grief into joy with Love Shack, but the early spark, that surf guitar smile, was his gift. Cliff Burton, Metallica's young bass player, made the low end sing like a lead guitar. Listen to Anesthesia Pulling Teeth, and you'll hear a style that didn't exist before him. In 1986, the band's bus crashed in Sweden, and he died at 24. Fans still gather at the site. The band became the biggest in the world, but the raw power of the early years carries his name, and every heavy band that values feel over flash owes him something. Till Lynott, then Lizzie's Poet Warrior, a soft voice with hard edges, wrote songs that felt like stories told under neon. The Boys Are Back in Town will outlast all of us. He died in 1986 at 36 after years of struggle with drugs and illness. He carried Irish rock to the world, mixed soul with metal, and made twin guitar harmonies feel like a movie. If you grew up on riffs and romance, you grew up with Phil. Hillel Slovak. Before stadiums and Super Bowls, Red Hot Chili Peppers were a messy, brilliant Los Angeles band with punk speed and funk swing. Their original guitarist Hillel died in 1988 at 26 from a drug overdose. Behind the Sun and True Men Don't Kill Coyotes hold his bright tone and wild color. The band rebuilt, but the bittersweet core of their story began with him, Pete DeFreitas, Echo, and the Bunnymen could make a single drum hit feel like a cliff edge. Pete's playing was tight, roomy, and alive, pushing songs like The Killing Moon forward without crushing them. He died in 1989 at 27 in a motorcycle crash. The band went on, but the balance he held power and space became legend to every drummer who wanted to be loud and tasteful at the same time. Jeff Porcaro, Toto's grooves defined radio in the 80s, and Jeff's pocket was the engine. Rosanna and Africa are masterclasses in feel clean, warm, and deep. In 1992, he died at 38 of heart failure, and the session world lost its heartbeat. He played on so many records that you've danced to Jeff without knowing it. If your foot taps before your brain catches up, that's him. Freddie Mercury, the word frontman is too small. Freddie could hold a stadium with a glance and break your heart with one note. In 1991, he died at 45 from AIDS-related bronchopneumonia, and the world learned the news almost at the same time they learned the truth about his illness. Radio Gaga at Live Aid, the operatic bite of Bohemian Rhapsody. The cool swing of another One Bites the Dust. He could do anything. And he did. Steve Clark, Def Leppard's melodic architect, piled hooks on top of riffs until hard rock felt like a bright, sharp fire. He died in 1991 at 30 after years of alcohol struggle and a deadly mix of substances. Hysteria still sounds like a perfect Friday night, glossy and huge. But underneath are the hands that built it, and one of those hands is gone. Mark Bolan's shadow over glam belongs to the 70s. So let's keep our line true to the 80s era and the artists who carried it into the early 90s and beyond. There are more names you could add to this on a roll. Billy McKenzie from The Associates, who died in 1997 at 39. Steve Strange from Visage, who died in 2015 at 55. Gary Moore, then Lizzie's guitar hero, who died in 2011 at 58. But the point is the same. The 80s made stars who lived fast and bright, and too many left before their time. Stay with me till the very end and carry one simple thought with you. They were more than the way they died. Each one left a line, a riff, a groove that still moves the air. That's why we tell their stories, not to reopen sadness, but to keep the songs alive in the places that matter most. Your speakers, your heart, your next good day.